If you had a chance to cast with one caster from the international scene, who would you choose?
Ooh, that's rough. Uh, Dang. Only one? Just one?
Only one. They say, Coach
Ooh.
Deku, there's a flight, there's a jet outside in the back. You got one
Mm-hmm.
seat for an international caster. We're taking you guys to M5 in the Philippines. Who are you choosing?
Oh, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Break Time, a special segment for the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy where we take a step back and meet members in the local community. Today, we have the rising star talent who you've seen in the NACT spring season, dominating as an analyst, and also recently just completed the IESF qualifiers for Africa. That's right, we have the one, the only Coach Deku in the building. The man with the plan, the man of many names, the man with the fame, but also with the blame. How are you doing, Coach
Born.
Deku?
I'm doing good, man. Definitely excited. That was a great intro, honestly, because you couldn't explain my personality on the internet any better than that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, every time I see you, it's just tons of positivity and then, all that other nonsense that we're not going to jump into. But Coach Deku, man, you've been rising in the year of 2023, and it's finally great to be able to put a face to the name. You're an up and coming star for the NACT spring season, and you've grown pretty quickly, and I applaud you on your journey. It's also been a pleasure to work with you, and I'm glad that you were able to take the time out of your day to be able to do break time with us for this interview. So thank you for that.
Hey, man, you know I had to make some time to join you up here for the break time. You think we're just going to do interviews and we're not going to get Coach Deku and Wheezy up here? It's the Brodies.
That's right. There you go. North America has been the biggest debate ever. Which one of us is Brody? Let us know now. But speaking about Coach Deku, let's take a step back. Let's rewind through time and figure out a little bit more about you. Why don't you tell us about your background, who you are, and where you came from?
You ask some people, I'm a nobody, but if you ask me, right, I come from Texas. Some people know that. A lot of people know right now. Currently, I reside in Missouri. Recently, we actually were pretty close until you left me hanging and went down to those southern states in Florida. But I currently stay out of Missouri, not too far away from G the ICO. So that's where I'm currently at right now with things and where I stay at. But I'm a Texas boy through and through, if you ask me.
There you go. Texas, definitely representing. Love to see it. Missouri, yeah, I lived there. I went to high school there. It was pretty much where I spent majority of my childhood. You mentioned G.D. Kyle, funny story. Me and him actually lived on the same street, literally 5 houses away, and didn't even know it. So that's awesome. And speaking of Coach Deku, right? That's an amazing background story. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your name? What made you decide to choose Deku, and what about the coach behind it as well?
The Deku thing was honestly, I've had this name for a while. Like, I don't know why. A lot of people think maybe I just picked it up recently because I kind of showed up in the ML community, at least like online recently. But I've had Deku since I started playing the game, which was like a while ago. So Deku's always been there. When I streamed, my name was Sensei Deku YT. So
Oh,
like I've always been Deku online, and obviously now you know a little bit more than most people, but I branched out to the coaching basically around the same time I started the casting, and so I just figured, well, maybe not Sensei anymore. We'll just make it Coach Deku instead of Sensei Deku, and that's kind of how that name came about.
well, I think, the world wants to know, how did somebody all the way from Texas and now Missouri get a hold of Mobile Legends Bang Bang? How did that even come across your table to play?
Honestly, it's so crazy, and I don't even think it's a thing they do anymore. But at the time when Mobile Legends came out, when Instagram was a little more in its infancy stage, they used to run like the sponsored ads on Instagram, and like most of the games that go on Instagram really suck, right? They're really bad. But I don't know, it just happened to pop up. I was a little entertained by the advertisement. I clicked, I downloaded, and the rest was history, man. I fell in the system, fell in the trap.
Well, speaking of the system, speaking of the trap, speaking of Mobile Legends Bang Bang, when would you say you started playing? Like, were you launch date or somewhere in between?
I wasn't launch date, but I was pretty close. 2016, at the end of season 2, is when I picked up Mobile Legends. So very, very long. I'm a relic. I'm a relic.
A relic. I was gonna say seasoned player, but a relic has a better ring to it, man. Well, you played Mobile Legends Bang Bang for a long time, so I gotta ask you, who's your favorite hero, and also, what is your main role?
My favorite hero, I mean, tragically enough, these days is Cho. Right? He's not getting a lot of love. Okay, he's been nerfed a bit, but he's still fighting on. People are still pulling him out. People still believe in the Chinaman. But that's my favorite player, and my favorite role, or the role I play, has always been on Roam. I've always been a vocal player, so Roam was always like my natural spot.
Being able to shot call definitely is something teams in North America lack, and you can definitely use more people with that talent. And speaking of talent, you've played a little bit in the professional scene, so why don't you kind of take us through what made you transition from being a casual player to a professional player?
I mean, when you spend like 15,000 games in MLBB, you start to want a little bit more, right? So I feel like I was like everyone else. The casual stuff started to wear off. The novelty of playing ranked all day wasn't really as fun anymore like it was like 4 years ago. So when competitive scene came out, obviously I was ready to jump on it. Uh, well, wasn't exactly the best professional player, right? At least didn't have the best run in the professional scene, but I did get to compete two times. One with XVA, a team ran by like a familiar face people know at the time was XCO, and then PDR, which was a team that I basically assumed the leadership of and ran that through. We only finished top 32, I believe, in PDR, and then we got bounced out early with XVA. So that's my professional run.
Well, you went from not only a casual player to a professional player, but you also went above and beyond and went to the level of coaching as well. What made you make the transition into doing that?
So again, it kind of goes back to how I always gravitated into like the roam position and being the vocal person on the team. And there hasn't been a single team, even like casual squads before, like competitive. Like there was never a time where I wasn't the go-to guy, where I like made the decisions. I did the extra research to make like our games better. Like I always take things very seriously and like go the extra mile. And so it was just like a natural role. And on like my information, at least, and how I present it is a lot better than I perform it, which is why the coaching and whatnot goes a lot better for me than my professional gameplay. So that's how that like transition came about.
What would you say is the biggest challenge as a coach in a developing region such as North America?
Oof, wow, there's a lot of challenges, but I guess the main one is I want to say like the seriousness of teams, right? Like I said, I like to take things and like full send it. Like I'm very 100% with the commit aspect of things as far as coaching. And sometimes it feels like the players in this region, just because, like you said, we're developing, things don't always seem on par with what they want. And it kind of kills the drive for some players. And so you got me over here. I'm like a workaholic, workhorse. I want to be a perfectionist. And then you encounter some teams, some players that just aren't there yet, which I don't really blame them, but it can make the coaching thing a little challenging because you want to give it all you got, but you also need the roster as well to meet you there halfway.
Yeah, I mean, totally understand what you mean. Like I've even coached teams myself, and there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes. Prepping the teams, finding their drafts, finding the rotations, and then for a player to be like, "Oh, I'm done playing because we had one bad match." That definitely can kind of hit you the wrong way sometimes. And now, leaning more toward that direction of your career growth in Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Not only did you go from a casual player to a professional player, but then you went from professional player to coaching, and then you went even higher than that. Went over to the casting aspect. Why don't you tell us how you got into casting for Mobile Legends Bang Bang?
The casting was just a complete just you could really say it was more of an accident, honestly, right? And you were there for the origin of that. You're kind of, I guess you could call the catalyst from my casting, right? Our first encounters weren't the greatest, but my casting kind of started from trolling on your Facebook streams in the VCs. You know me with the wild commentary, and for whatever reason, your community, the Weaselton crew, enjoyed it that night, and there was so much positivity from the servers, so much encouragement. Everyone was just like, "You should try to be a caster. You should be a caster. What you say is hilarious." Da da da. And I'm like, oh, okay. And we started that was like July, I believe. We started kicked that up in July, and then here we are. We transitioned over to spring NACT, and your boy's a professional caster with you up there.
That's right. Yeah, man. It's just amazing, just all the leaps that you've taken with just 1 year alone. And I can't wait to see how much further you take it throughout the year of 2023. And, speaking about being a caster, I got to ask you, as a caster yourself, what do you think is the most challenging thing that you face as a caster for North America?
Honestly, I have to say, being a caster has made me keep up with the game more than when I was actually playing it. Like the amount of research and studying that goes into it, especially as in this NACT, I was slotted as an analyst, so it's a lot of data and statistics to look over to really perform the role well. And it's just it's a bit of a workload, and some people think the casting aspect is very easy, just get on camera, start talking, but it's really not. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and especially for my role, I feel like it takes some dedication if you really want to provide good commentary. So that's one of those challenges, is just staying on top of your game.
Yeah, you definitely have to do a lot of research and be up to date, even with just patches alone, especially as an analyst. Those numbers definitely don't lie, and you can tell who puts in the work and who doesn't. And you definitely put in the work, so kudos to that. And, speaking about being a caster, any goal that you're shooting for the year of 2023 from a casting aspect?
Yeah, I think I share a similar dream for a lot of the cast. I think I speak for most of them when I say I want a spot for M5, right? I've talked about this with like inner circles of friends and whatnot. I don't care what happens throughout this year for casting. I feel like if I don't get a slot for M5, at least in my opinion, I know for some people they'll disagree, but for me, I'll feel like that's a failure of a year, and it'll be a driving factor if I don't get it. But that's ultimately the goal, is a slot, a seat in M5 in the Philippines.
Yeah, I think I can share that passion with you. I'm shooting for that as well. So many of us putting in the work behind the scenes, and hopefully we can go out there together. I mean, it's in the Philippines. It's like the primary audience out there, and I think if I could go anywhere for a first time M series, that's where I would want it to be. And I think you could definitely
Absolutely.
agree with me upon that. And speaking about North America and things that have been changing, how do you feel North America stands currently compared to other regions competitively? And also, how do you feel about like the NACT compared to NPL so far?
I feel like our region has made a strong case, right? That we are not just like a up and coming anymore. I think M3 up and coming, right? After, at least after that up and coming, there was no expectation for us, not a good one anyways. During M3 when BTK made it, after that, I think we were up and coming. Valley went out, placed a little lower, went from third to fifth, but still in that top three for regions. So I feel like compared to the other regions, we're doing really well. Obviously, PH and Indo are still a little ahead of us, but I feel like we're moving in the right direction to kind of close the gap, just like every other region. PH and Indo is like the goal for every
Yeah.
region, to try to surpass them, to move higher up on that ladder. I think we're doing a great job at it.
I was actually watching MSC not too long ago, and I don't know, Indo almost, took a loss there. Echo lost one of their matches in group stage, so you may see North America
You
slide
know?
up there. There is some hope yet in the long tunnel. I definitely can see the light. And, speaking of North America, I got to ask you, especially with such a heavy impact that you have in the community, casting, being one of the main pillars for the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy as well, from start, what would you say is one thing you would like to see improve for North America as a region for 2023?
Wholeheartedly, like the not even from just the players, but like on the back end, right? I feel like a lot of us were amazed with the system that Outplay had, with the managers, their media, their marketing, picking up a coach, even though it's not homegrown, but it's a coach nonetheless. I feel like all teams should try to mirror that, because I mean, obviously it paid off for them. It was a successful run. Obviously, they ended up losing in grand finals, but there's all going to be one winner, right? And I think for that first run, that's amazing. And I feel like a lot of that came from, they're like the unsung heroes. And I feel like a lot of teams, that they get just that extra push, that extra support, which is something obviously I'm a big supporter of, trying to fill that void of a coach in NA. I feel like if we get more of that involved behind these rosters, NA is going to be in great shape.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you. I mean, even just comparing last year to this year, coaches are starting to come out of nowhere. The events are getting bigger. The teams are getting more competitive, and not only more competitive, but the level of skill is increasing as well. And it's definitely something that we have to keep our eyes on. And as long as we keep with that passion, that drive, I can definitely see us reaching and possibly surpassing other regions, like you mentioned, Indonesia, Philippines. At least that's shooting high. But if we shoot for the other regions like Myanmar, Malaysia, I think we already are almost there with them. And MSC is definitely going to help us gauge that. And speaking of gauging, speaking of teams, out of all the teams in Mobile Legends Bang Bang, if you had one to be your favorite, who would it be?
Out of every region,
Every region, you get one team.
honestly, I know it's going to sound crazy, but Kodak is like one of my favorite teams, right? Todak or Bryn. But Todak I really love Todak just because they're an oddball group, right? They like to pull a lot of unorthodox stuff, and I'm just a fan of getting a little freaky out there in MLBB. So I vibe with Todak. They may not be the best team out there, but they're a team I like to root for.
So you're rooting with Malaysia, sitting there with Gideon and LaFell, huh? Okay, so
Hey.
the Malaysian Kings. All right, well, I mean they've been doing so far so good in MSC. I definitely am a fan of them myself. You know, it used to be Team Hacked, but they've been getting hacked down recently, so I can't really say that. But no, that's awesome. Honestly, I think that's a great team. Hopefully they do well inside of MSC. Speaking of MSC as well, first time North America's ever had a spot in this international event. Any words of wisdom for Outplay going out there and competing for North America?
They already think you can't do it, and you might as well go out there and prove them wrong. That's all there is to it. Just get the job done. Just get it done.
Get the job done. Yeah, that's right. A lot of people count us out. I mean, I can't even tell you as a streamer, when people jump in there and say, try that in the Philippines, bro. It doesn't matter what you do. You can get the most impossible play done, and somebody will discredit you just because you're in North America. And that's why, you know, personally, I've been waiting for somebody in North America to just overall win an international event so people can't say that anymore. Right? So I can go on somebody's stream and say, try that in NA. So
that'd be a crazy time.
Yeah, that's honestly like something I've been looking forward to. And speaking about looking forward to, you know, you've been doing a lot of events lately. You're helping us on the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy, you know, as a staff member, also as a caster. But you've also been floating around in other events, such as the NABA, the North America Battle Arena. You've been casting on that. And then, you know, jumping in a couple of watch parties from, you know, some of the content creators, some of the familiar faces, such as Trex, such as, you know, just anybody out there. I've even seen you in Chicken's comments, you know, from time to time.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, you know, between all these content creators in the future, actually, just for casters internationally, if you had a chance to cast with one caster from the international scene, who would you choose?
Oh, that's rough. Dang. Only one? Just one?
Only one. They say, Coach Deku, there's a flight, there's a jet outside in the back. You got one seat for an international caster. We're taking you guys to M5 in the Philippines. Who are you choosing?
Oh, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
No. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to get you. That's okay. No. I don't expect you to answer that. There's too many right answers to that one. I think we can both agree upon that. Well, Deku, I appreciate everything you've been doing, not only for the MLSA, but also for the community of Mobile Legends Bang Bang North America. We definitely need more people with a passion and a drive such as yourself, somebody who's able to play professionally, who's able to coach, who's able to cast. That's what we call an MLBB North American superstar, right? So definitely keep up what you're doing. Everybody, make sure you follow Coach Deku as well. And also, speaking about following you, where can we catch you on the social media?
Oh, man, you can catch me a lot of places right now. I try to open up the socials for everyone to get to me. So on Instagram, you can find me at Coach Deku1. That's where I'm the most active right now, is on Instagram, Coach Deku1. Twitter is also Coach Deku1. On YouTube, Coach Deku. Pretty much at TikTok, I'm Coach Deku. Pretty much any social media, it's all Coach Deku, Coach Deku1. If it's not one, it's the other. You can't miss me. I'm probably one of 3 black faces. That's if we're counting the real Brody and not the other Brody. It's really hard to miss the mark when you're looking for Coach Deku.
Well, there you go. Definitely follow Coach Deku on the social media. All of his links will be in the description of today's video as well. Coach Deku, any words of wisdom to those out there looking to take their gameplay to the professional scene or looking to be either a coach or a caster before you head out?
For either one of those, it's going to be a road. It's going to be a journey. There's going to be a lot of doubters, a lot of doubt, a lot of naysayers, but you got to be focused on your personal goals, your own personal missions, and just get it done. You already know what you got to do. You just got to take the first step.
That's right. Take the first step. And thank you so much for being here today, Coach Deku. That's going to wrap everything up. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Break Time with your host, Steph Weezy, and our special guest, Coach Deku, who you will be seeing in the future, casting and painting that perfect picture. As always, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Signing out.